If you didn't know already, director John Lee Hancock is a good old Southern boy. I mean, a real American. And not just because he has the name of somebody who would probably own a used Ford dealership. No. It's because of his solid lineup of films. Like The Rookie, an old Texan gets a chance to play Major League Baseball. That's America's game. Or if you prefer The Blindside, American Football, The American Dream, and Sandy Bullock dispensing Mama Bear's Southern sass. Or The Alamo, where they fight foreigners and get knives named after them. I don't know. Although, to be honest, I'm not really sure how all of his films apply. I mean, like Saving Mr. Banks or The Founder. Oh, I got it! Profiting off of the dreams and hard work of others. What could be more American than that? I'll tell you what, idolizing the wrong people. Sadly, that's not even a joke. Think about this country's obsession with brain-dead celebrities, with idolizing the wrong people, perhaps even making heroes out of criminals. You have to admit there is a long history in the United States of idolizing even killers. There's this weird, morbid fascination. And movies are often guilty of this as well, of perpetuating that obsession, whether it's fictionalized killer couples like Mickey and Mallory in Natural Born Killers, or the real-life tales of Bonnie and Clyde. They seem to push that narrative, and that specific narrative is just a little bit of Americana. The Highwaymen is the antithesis of that, and not just because Woody Harrelson goes from killer to lawman, for other reasons. Harrelson plays Manny Galt, who's a former Texas Ranger who's recruited by another former Texas Ranger, but more of a legend in Frank Hamer. Now, the two men were legendary because they were known for always getting their man, but in sometimes brutal fashion. What I really liked about this film was how it tried to change the perception of many of its historical characters. Now that starts with Hamer, who here is played by Kevin Costner. Now there's an awesome bit of movie history where actually Hamer's widow Gladys sued Warner Brothers after the release of Bonnie and Clyde because of their portrayal of Hamer, that he was bumbling and angry and vengeful. In reality, at least the reality of the Highwaymen, Galt and Hamer are fastidious in their investigation. They're stoic, they're remorseful for their violent past, and they really felt like, well, real characters, real old men who kind of reflect on what they did to get where they are. But telling their true story also meant you had to tell the true story of Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie and Clyde were considered folk heroes or Robin Hood types, but let's not forget that they were murderers and probably psychopaths. And the fact is that John Lee Hancock and screenwriter John Fusco never make an attempt in this film to glamorize them whatsoever. In fact, they barely show them. For 99% of the film, Bonnie and Clyde are faceless or completely unseen. And this is obviously a very specific choice because as much as the story centers around them, it's not really about them. This not so subtle cinematic choice was obviously trying to nail home the allegory of today's society, where the media really creates monsters, where the media is a monster itself, and where Galt and Hamer look at this brand new world where people obsess over murderers and want to have nothing to do with it. Like I said, not so subtle, but really effective. I think that that choice was actually critical to the success of this film. It was actually critical to it being relevant. Using the 30s as an allegory for today was, I think, the best message within the film. But that's not the piece of Americana that I found made this film entertaining. The film itself can be quite slow in a lot of parts, and as much as I enjoyed the partnership between Harrelson and Costner, it didn't really push the movie as much as I would have liked. But I did enjoy their characters, because much like Eastwood in Unforgiven, or Jones in No Country for Old Men, once again, they were the last true cowboys, and I love movies like that. And that's kind of funny coming from a guy who grew up near Toronto, I know, but we don't really have the same kind of connections with Westerns, which is maybe why I love watching them. They're so un-Canadian. Harrelson, to no surprise, is of course the life of this film, but it's that same kind of rough around the edges, slightly undereducated, good old boy Southern charm that he's brought to a lot of his roles before. And I will go on record as saying I like old Kevin Costner more than I like young Kevin Costner, because I just find him more believable when he's got a few city miles on him. When he's a mentor or a father figure or a grizzled old cowboy, I just find him more believable. Then again, that might have to do with the fact that he's never tried a British accent again. This is one of the best casts I've seen in a Netflix-produced film, and I think that speaks a lot to John Hancock's connections and the films he's made in the past and the people he knows. Not only do you get solid performances from Harrelson and Costner, you also get young actor Thomas Mann, who plays quite well off of the old guys. You get great performances from character actor John Carroll Lynch, Kim Dickens, and the great Kathy Bates. I think The Highwaymen is the perfect Netflix release because, yeah, the scope is there, but it's just big enough. The cast is there, but they're just good enough to carry the film in this character-driven piece, which is code for sometimes it gets kind of slow. But you can just pause it, grab a snack, go to the washroom, come back when you're ready. The fact is, not having to pay admission for this film is actually why I make it and earn it. I think you should just check it out on Netflix if you've got a couple hours because it is a solid story with some good performances and it tells a different part of an already famous story. Poll question, who's your favorite old movie lawman? Where the character is old, not the movie. As always, leave your answers in the comment section. I'm still doing the accent. The comment section below. Well, until next time, school's out. Hey Real students, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe to Real School, click that round Real School logo right beside me. Also click that damn notification bell so you're aware of all of Real School's new content. You can follow me on Twitter, and of course, if you get anything out of Real School, you can always give a little back. Just click the link in the description below or the button down there, and you can become part of my Patreon team.